week 3 game previews. We're going to talk about the Saints versus the Patriots, the Rams versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Las Vegas Raiders versus the Miami Dolphins, the Washington Football Team versus the Buffalo Bills, and finally the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football. We'll hit on some bets with the Puma, and then finally we'll round it out with the fantasy Bulls with Burg. So without further ado, you guys ready to get into this?
Let's roll.
Let's do it.
All right, game preview number 1. The New Orleans Saints at 1-1 are traveling up to face the New England Patriots at 1-1 also. New Orleans is coming off a absolutely horrific performance against the Carolina Panthers. They lost 26-7. Winston was pretty bad, 111 yards, 2 interceptions. Kamara was pretty awful as well, 8 rushes, 5 yards, which kind of blew me away. On the other end, the New England Patriots just are coming off of a big win against the Jets. Final score was 25-6, and the main storyline out of that game was Zach Wilson absolutely melting down and throwing 4 interceptions and making it a fairly easy win for New England. So with that being said, Burg, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you've got some stuff to say about this game, so have at it, brother man.
Yeah, so just to recap what happened, last week with the Jets, watching that game, it was a lot of the same stuff we saw in week 1. From the Patriots, sans the fumbles that occurred. Still didn't see much of Mac Jones opening down the field. I know, Jay, we've had some talks offline about, what's it coming from? Is it from Mac himself? Is it from the play calling? Personally, I think it's a little bit of both. We had some videos being sent back and forth where Mac was kind of missing some guys wide open down the field just to check it down. Talking about the Saints too, we talked, early in the offseason, like around training camp about Carolina and how they're kind of like a team to watch out for this year. They're off to a hot start down there. The Saints have been dealing with a lot of, issues. They haven't been home, because of the hurricane down there. I don't know if you guys saw too, the Superdome caught fire today.
Yeah.
So who knows when they're actually going to play games in that building. Add in the fact that they've had a COVID outbreak, with their coaching staff. They're kind of in a bit of disarray right now. So, this performance from them this week was kind of, when you add up all the factors, kind of, I don't want to say expected it, but you're not shocked by it.
And Burge, don't forget they also were missing coaches too. Like they had
8 coaches.
They had a handful of coaches that were out too with COVID.
Yep, the outbreak with them has been really, really bad. So you add that on top of everything else that they've been dealing with to start the season. The fact that they look so good against the Green Bay Packers in Week 1 is kind of shocking, I guess you could say. Obviously, there's other factors that play into that. We don't need to get into it. But going into this game for the Patriots against the Saints, what I'm looking for, I'm a little worried because the offensive game scheme, and Sean Payton's a great coach in terms of scheming opponents. And when the Patriots have played them in the past, they've been close games. I think of the Unicorn Show Ponies game from 8 years ago when Scott Zolak. Scott Zolak lost his mind on that last minute catch. They always seem to play these guys tight. So I have no doubt that Sean Payton's going to have his guys ready to go. It's just going to be a matter of which Alvin Kamara is going to show up, which Jameis Winston is going to show up. From the Patriots standpoint, I really want to see Mac start to push the ball downfield a bit when he has to. You're not going to win games running the ball as much as they do and just shoving it down their throats. Like you said, Jay, we're almost on Buccaneers week here. They're not going to be able to beat the Bucs by trying to run the ball 30 times. It's just not going to happen. So I'm really looking for Mac Jones to take a step forward in this game. I really think that he will end up doing so. I'd like to see him throw to the end zone. I do have the Patriots winning this game, covering the 3 points, or laying the 3 points, I should say. Being at home, trying to build off we can debate what their win was last week. Was it impressive? Was it not? At the end of the day, they ended up blowing the team out. Yes, I know Zach Wilson gave the game away a lot, but I do like the Patriots here to keep building on what they did this past week.
Yeah. And I think you make a good point about Mac Jones. And listen, it's a little too early for any of us to bury him. It's the kid's second start, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. until the middle of the year or even until the end of the year if he's still making some of these mistakes. But for the most part, listen, I think he was effective running the offense. He looked poised for most of the game. There's a couple of times where he does freak out a little bit, but I think as you see those situations more, he'll become more comfortable in them. For the most part, what I like about him is he keeps the offense ahead of the downs, which I think is great. Put them in the third and short situation. Was he perfect? No, obviously, like you said, he wasn't. You got to clean up a couple of items with him. This is the second game in a row he took a sack and got him out of the field goal range. Wait, was it a sack or was it the intentional grounding?
No, it was a sack. That was a sack.
It was a sack, and they pushed him out of the field goal range. I mean, that's obviously something you can't be doing, right? And obviously the bigger ones being he missed 2 wide open TDs, one with the flea flicker where he decided to check down to Jonnu Smith, where there was a Nelson Aguilar wide open in the end zone, and the other one where he missed Hunter Henry wide open in the end zone as well. And obviously this is all to a point where, we're just trying to bring it up because we're a little concerned, but we're not like freaking out about it. We're still going to give him the time to develop and see how he is in the middle of the year. Now, the one thing that I am really concerned about, and I don't know how you feel about this, Burge, but I think this run defense is just as bad as it was last year. I didn't bring this up last week because I wanted to give them one more week to look at it, but if Alvin Kamara is able to run wild on this soft front seven defense, which I think he is going to, I think we're going to have a tough time winning that game. Devon Godshaw, he looks like he might be a bad signing. Hightower kind of looks slow. The only really bright spot that I can think of is obviously Judon, and he's been all over the field. But I am a little concerned about how much push some of these offensive lines that are mediocre, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the Miami Dolphins offensive line isn't the best, and the Jets
isn't
offensive
the
line
best is being kind.
Exactly,
I'm gonna
right?
fucking bury him when we talk about the Raider game.
Well, and that's the point, though, right? The Dolphins and the Jets have some pretty, below average offensive line, and the fact they got that much push is concerning. I'll leave you guys with one stat before I turn it over to you, Puma. Week 1, the Jets couldn't run the ball at all. They were absolutely atrocious. Week 2, they ran it for 4.9 yards per carry, ended up with 152 rush yards. And if they had just kept with the run attack instead of letting Zach Wilson drop back and throw 19, interceptions, it would be a much tighter game for the Patriots. So I'm a little concerned about the run defense, and obviously, Bird, you can chime in when you have a chance. But I want to get your thoughts on what what the run defense is looking for standards or not.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head there. I mean, if you're going to pick one thing on this team that has been I don't want to say colossal disappointment, but the most disappointing, performances through 2 weeks of this team, for me, I agree with you, it's the run defense. I mean, the fact that the Jets were able to move on the ground like that concerns me big time, because the linebackers the Patriots have, they're not specialized in pass coverage. They're slower linebackers. They're bigger guys. They're there to beef up the middle of the field and to clog between the tackles there. And through 2 weeks they haven't done it. I wouldn't say it cost them in week 1. Obviously it didn't cost them last week, but had they had any more competent quarterback play, who knows? Because I mean, you're in that game for a little bit before Zach Wilson started just tossing the ball to J.C. Jackson and the Patriots defensive backs. There was a little bit of concern there because the Patriots offense wasn't doing anything. So no, I agree with you 100%. It's the most disappointing probably thing for me on the team so far. And they got to clean it up, because you're not going to win as we saw last year. If you're going to let teams run all over you, that's what they're going to do, and it's going to open the passing game right up for the opponent.
Yeah. Go ahead, Puma.
I was just gonna say, then we can get back to the Pats Love Fest. I mean, I'm gonna be the contrarian, just one by nature, but two, I think this is obviously it's early. I get it. It's week 3, but on paper, this is the best offensive unit and defensive unit that the New England Patriots have faced, and that's gonna change week 4 when Tampa Bay comes to town. But I mean, Jameis Winston, he came up here with Tampa Bay in 2017. I mean, they lost 14-19. I understand it was a different team. Tom Brady was at the helm of the Pats at that time. But I mean, 26 of 46, 334 yards and a touchdown. Which, one, I'm amazed he actually didn't have an interception. But two, this is a great offensive unit. I kind of think it was more a combination of the Saints didn't have the coaching staff for the Carolina game. And, like you said, Burge, the Carolina Panthers, we had them as a podcast as a team to keep an eye on in the early look ahead, because on paper, like, this is a solid unit for the Carolina Panthers, and it's proving out right now. This defensive unit, one, they're all like, first round draft picks for the majority of it. And two, they're the top defense in the NFL right now. So let's give the Panthers some credit here. But I think the Saints are going to right the ship. I think that, I'm not saying it's a must win. It's not a conference. It's not a division game. But you don't want to, go down 1-2, especially in that division of the NFC South, where you have the Panthers that could surprise people. The Buccaneers, up until now, have been rolling, and who knows what's going to happen next week. That's a story for another day. But I like the fact that the Saints are going to be getting 3 on the road. I have the Saints covering. I have the Saints winning outright in Foxborough as well too. Just to hammer the point home with the run defense. I think this is going to be a prime bounce back spot for Alvin Kamara and in his backup running back. I believe it's Tony Scott or
Tony Jones.
Tony Jones. I think they're both going to have a day. I mean, Tony Jones is going to be like that, complimentary role like Latavius Murray was last year, and he got some work in the games as well too when Alvin Kamara was active. So give me the Saints catching points and winning outright up in Foxborough.
Yeah, and I didn't get my prediction, but I also have the Saints winning this game. I think it's going to be close. I think that Alvin Kamara is going to have an absolute heyday, because up until this point, there's absolutely no evidence given to me by the Patriots that says they can stop a rushing attack. So I think Kamara is going to bounce back, have 150 yards-ish, all-purpose. I think Jameis Winston's going to have a couple of touchdowns. And I think we're looking at a loss. But before I turn it over to you, Bud, I want to ask you a question in regards to some of the free agent signings that we had in the offseason and how they look so far through week 2. Obviously, we discussed the rush defense, which is having issues. But, the tight ends, I feel like I've been a little bit disappointed as well. On top of that, the wide receiver signings, I mean, yeah, Aguilar had that one touchdown week 1, but for the most part, there isn't there. Is this just simply a product of Mac Jones not finding these guys, or is it like, are you somewhat concerned with the free agent signings that we had in the offseason?
Well, I'll definitely be concerned with obviously Godchow based on 2 weeks' performance here. Puma, I've jumped 100% on your train on freaking the Green Goblin, Jalen Mills.
Welcome aboard.
I'm all set with him, and the tight ends. I think part of it. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's obviously them getting up to speed in a complicated system. I think some of it is the play calling that is protecting Mac Jones, so to speak. They're not doing what the Jets are doing with Zach Wilson, making him go out there and just chuck the ball all over the place. It seems like they're working him into this, and they're going to eventually work up to that point. Who knows? They could be saving this for the Bucs game. Who knows? But the tight ends are catching balls. I mean, Jonnu Smith, I think, had 5 receptions in that game on Sunday. I think he had 4 in week 1. So, he's not concerned. Hunter Henry's been a bit of a ghost, and obviously looking at the, in our back and forth in the Twitter chat about that time he was missed wide open for a touchdown. If that ball gets to him, who knows? Maybe we're talking about it a little differently today. But in terms of the defensive signings with Godchow and Mills, I mean, Mills 100% out, and don't even try to correct me on that unless he shows me something. Godchow is definitely trending in that direction at this point. I'm wondering when they're going to unleash Christian Barmore to just let him, play a majority of the snaps in that role. Lawrence Guy has been a bit of a disappointment coming back too.
Yeah,
he was very good for this team the past couple of years. On that defensive line, and he's been pretty much a no-show. So,
I think he had like one play down by the goal line, but that's it so far. That's all I've seen out of him.
Yeah, I mean, I think they brought him back. He was very good, a good fit. Honestly, I was surprised they brought him back once they had signed Godchow. I know Godchow was supposed to be the replacement for Adam Butler, who signed down with the Dolphins, but I want to see more out of basically that entire defensive line, that entire defensive front. You want to see more out of going forward. I mean, obviously you've seen enough with Matthew Judon. Josh Uche has looked like he's eventually going to be that one of those like that maybe the next linebacker for this team. on defense because I mean he's had a couple of sacks already. Obviously, the one he had I think last week was in garbage time. So say what you want about that, but you haven't heard Chase Winovich's name at all. You haven't heard even when Kyle Van Noy was active on week 1, you didn't really hear much of him. Mm-hmm. Dante Hightower, it's got to take time for him to come back. You can't take a year off and just come back to what you were. I think that's him being slow is attributing to that mostly. Obviously, he's getting older too, but yeah, with the free agent signings, I think let's hold off on the offensive ones, especially the receivers and the tight ends, just to see if this offense decides to finally open up before we can really judge them. But like I said, screw Jalen Mills.
Yeah, that defense is really concerning, and not just the front seven, but also a secondary as well, right? And we thought this defense was going to be the mainstay of the team, right? It's going to be what's going to carry Mac Jones through the season. And I saw a Jets team play one of the worst games possible. Like, first of all, I don't ascribe to lazy takes of it's just the Jets, so everybody in the Jets sucks, right? But my God, when you're sitting there watching that game and Zach Wilson throw 4 interceptions and you're watching just absolute, like, horrid offense, you're thinking, all right, well, the Patriots are doing something good, right? You start looking at some of the stats, and the Patriots were outpaced by the Jets in total yards of offense, time of possession, and first downs. And, like, I'm just, like, stunned that, I mean, you can't go at this team hardcore because they gave up 17 points week 1 to the Dolphins and 22 this week and got 4 interceptions. But, like, for some reason, this defense just seems like it's not what it was meant to be or what was built at in the offseason.
No, I mean, they've given up, I think, 23 points all year so far. I mean, it's hard to say that, I mean, but getting away from defense for a minute, I mean, going back to the quarterbacks, with Mac Jones, like, you look at all the other rookie quarterbacks that are playing right now, Mac Jones looks like the best in terms of, protecting the ball. I mean, and a lot of this is designed by the Patriots, the way they're integrating him into this team. But you look out there, I mean, he's got a better record than Trevor Lawrence.
Either.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Like Trey Lance is in some packages. Maybe they're going to get him more involved because the 49ers don't have any running backs, and we'll probably hit on that game a little bit towards the end. But I mean, hell, we might do a better job getting the football down the field in Jacksonville too. Granted, I'm with you. I'm with you. He's the most pro ready out of all of them right now. But
in terms of decision making, everywhere,
I think. See, that's where I have an issue. Like, if he was so pro-ready, he would easily see those open tight ends. Like, he would easily get the ball to those guys. And that's the one concern I have is, like, he's doing great. He's efficient. He's getting the ball down. He's getting the ball ahead of the downs, and he's moving the ball. I get that. But, like, if he was so pro-ready and, like, if he was making such smart decisions, he would easily see, oh, my God, that guy is wide open right there. Like, I feel like to get to the point in the NFL where you're a starting quarterback, you should be able to make that play.
No, going back to those 2 plays that we talked about with the Henry and the Aguilar in the end zone and on the flea flicker, I have no issue with what he did on the flea flicker. Yeah, he maybe could have taken the shot and thrown the ball deep to Aguilar there. Maybe a more seasoned player does that in the league. But I got no problem with him taking the safe first down play there and getting it to Jonnu Smith. The Hunter Henry one is the one that's more concerning because it seemed like, based on the video, that he looked right at him.
Yeah, he looked right at him. Yeah.
And then he goes and he commits intentional grounding on the same play. So that's one I'll be with you 100% on that. The Aguilar one with the flea flicker, I don't necessarily hate that. Obviously you want to see him take the shot to the end zone, but at least he's not trying to force it anywhere. Jonnu Smith was wide open too. He probably looked. He got that ball out quick once he got it back. He didn't wait. He got it out right away. He caught it and threw it.
Yes, I understand that, but like to be a pro-ready quarterback, you understand in that situation, you're on this side of the field where nobody's going to touch you for the next 5 seconds. You have all day right there. And the reason why this flea flicker was ran, not was for a 10-yard check down. Like, I don't think Josh McDaniels drew it up for him to just check it down. Like, he checked it down so quick. Like, he didn't even take a look downfield. And I think that's some of the concerning part, where it's like, he didn't even look down the field and then check down. He just checked it down immediately. You feel me? Like, he's just Go ahead.
That's definitely fair. That's definitely a fair way to look at it. I'm not going to argue against that. I think that, obviously, as a fan, you want to see him take that shot. Especially where we haven't seen him take a shot to the end zone yet.
Exactly,
So,
and because this is the time that you gotta take these shots, because you're not gonna be able to take these shots against Tampa Bay or I don't know, maybe even the Saints this week if they have a good offensive explosion. The time was last week when the Jets were done. You were up 22-6. You had time to actually work on his craft, and he actually had some opportunities to look downfield in a game that he was gonna win. And I just that was the time to work on it. And I can't believe he didn't do it.
I second that notion. Especially, I'll take it more from the play calling standpoint. I think they had the ball within the red zone, or probably within like the 15-yard line late in the game, and they ran up and they ran it 3 times and they kicked the field goal, I believe. I'm like, dude, that was your perfect time to just dial something up. It doesn't have to be anything that's going to give away your playbook or anything. Just let the kid throw to the end zone. And that was the time to do it. And who cares about playing like sportsmanship with the Jets? I mean, the Patriots have never shown that over the last 20 years.
Bill Belichick has never showed sportsmanship with the New York Jets. Like,
not even just the New York Jets, the whole league. The whole league, they would run the score up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, Bill Belichick doesn't show sportsmanship at all.
He'll run the score up on anybody. And like that was the perfect time to let Mac take a shot to the end zone in garbage time. And they didn't. They just ran up and lined up and ran the ball 3 times, kicked the field goal. I'm like, come on. The Jets aren't coming back at that point. That was the time I was screaming for him. Like, just let him throw to the end zone once. Just let him do it once.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
That was, but like overall, that was not a fun game to watch. Oh my god.
No, it was boring. It was boring.
I was like, let's get this game over with. Jeez. And then it's so like completely different when you like turn on the 4 o'clock game and watch Tampa Bay, just like, all right, touchdown here, touchdown here, touchdown here, 21 points in the first quarter. It's just like jarring to me that this is the offense we're running right now. And obviously, like I said, we all got to give Mac his time, and we've got to put trust into the system to, eventually get him up and running so he can actually score in the NFL. But it's definitely going to be hard to watch some of these games.
Yeah, well, real quick before we move on to the next game, Parker's pick for this game.
Yep.
He went to the yogurt treat this time. It wasn't a peanut butter puff. He went to the New England Patriots.
Oh, you bragged him. You probably put the yogurt treat right on the Pats one, the only one that had a snack.
Tweet at Chantel. She'll tell you I didn't set this one up at all.
Chantel, babe, I want video evidence. I want you to send it to me. I don't want Burge. I don't want him to doctor
We didn't record these picks. Next time.
Here we go.
Next week we'll record it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I want live video of the chain of custody on this yogurt. Okay.
Yes. We're gonna treat this. We're gonna treat this like drug testing in a Balco lab. I want.
Hey, she put the treats down, not me. I was just there tapping in the center of them, being like, "Let's go, buddy."
Throw poor Chantel head first into the Greyhound.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. So real quick, up until this point, Burge, and then I swear to God, we're gonna move on to the rest of the games. What is Parker's record right now? Obviously, this is all against the spread, right? So, like,
yep.
What are we looking at for the little guy? He seems to be on a heater.
So he's better than me so far. I mean, that's not hard to do. But through 2 weeks with the picking the games that we're doing here on the podcast, he is 5-3.
Oh shit!
5-3 against the spread on the year so far. Yeah, he's doing pretty good. Right. Doing pretty good. That's why I was rooting for the Ravens in that game the other night. I was like, let's go. We're going to get him to 5-3.
So what are you doing Thursday on my drive to New Jersey? I think you might need to put me on speaker. I might need to talk to the little man.
Hey, some of my buddies have placed bets for him, and they've come out as wins for him. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Parker, sharp shades. You got to get him some sunglasses. So next time when you do the video of him like making Parker's picks, he's got the sunglasses. We're gonna call him a sharp. That's what's up.
Parker's got a little degenerate in him, huh?
Sharp Parker, the sharp shades.
He's gonna be pressing me to start placing bets.
Yeah, here you go. Yo, Dad, get that college fund going.
Oh man! All right, let's move on.